So as you can see, for the guys that haven't actually worked on a Google Classroom before, everything that we do is actually recorded. And what you'll be able to find is that after this presentation, if there's anything that you missed, it's actually going to be uploaded onto our website, and you guys will have access to whatever I've spoken about now. So you can see here, I've just started recording up here in the top corner, and everything that I do on the screen and everything that I say will be recorded. So you guys can go through it whenever you would like to go through it. My name's Stephen Lever. I'm actually just going to be doing a little bit of an introduction today. I don't want to keep you for huge amounts of time. I'd rather speak a little bit, and then if you've got any questions, you can actually can ask me the questions right at the end. I will introduce you to everybody that's sitting across over there. Those are all of the lecturers on the course, and some of the administration people as well. But I just want to actually just take you through just a general presentation before we start. So, CTA, the question mark. So I don't know how many people here are repeats or how many people here are actually doing it for the first time, but this is a very, very difficult thing to do. Pass rates traditionally are very, very low. UNISA don't publish what their pass rates are, but like I had people walking down the corridor earlier this week saying, no, they heard it's a 1% UNISA pass rate. Because at the end of the day, this is the thing that I think you guys all need to actually understand. It's not whether you pass 4 out of your 5 subjects. If you guys want to go in and pass a board exam, you need to pass all 5 of them in one sitting. So essentially, it's not passing this year, it's not passing all your modules. Passing passing every single module. If you fail one of them, well, next year you might come back and you might want to actually try that out again. So this is a totally different experience to things that most people have experienced for the first time. So, a couple of things. If you do not manage your life this year, there's absolutely no way that you will succeed at this course. You actually have to do certain things. So, first thing, kiss your partner and say you'll see them at the end of the year. No. Basically, there's a lot of truth in there. Okay. If you're not committed to actually passing this year, then you mustn't actually do it. And I hate to actually discourage people from doing something, but unless you are absolutely sure that you actually are going to put 100% into this, don't even bother to try, because you need 100% absolute commitment to actually be able to pass. Okay. And you need to manage your life in the best possible way that you can manage it. And most people think that they can actually do it, but if you are not prepared to, just work every single day a little bit. Sometimes you can have breaks and stuff. If you're not committed, this is not the course for you. There's simply too much volume sitting inside this course for you to actually be slapgat and get lucky in an exam. That just simply does not happen. You can ask any CTA student. Okay? Too much volume itself. Next thing, guys, you need to plan every minute of every single day. Okay, so you need to know what to do. So I'm just going to go through and just give you a little bit of an idea of what I've seen has actually led to success in the past. So a lot of the guys that succeed, they wake up at, say, 4:30 in the morning. Okay, and I'm not saying you guys need to do this, but I'm just trying to indicate to you just what it will take to actually pass this year. Wake up, okay, 4:30. This is a man. He'll be ready by 5 o'clock. If you're a lady, just work your way backwards. What we normally say is, don't try to actually do the work at home. Try go to work. No traffic. You're not going to sit in traffic for very, very long. So you're not wasting any of your time during the day. Get to work and sit down and do 2 hours of homework before you start your day at work. Is that all right? Day finishes at work. You don't go home from work immediately. You take out another example to do for 2 hours, and you sit there and you work for 2 hours at work. And then when it's 7:30 and you finished your work and everything's done, then go home when there's no traffic. Okay? And you'll need to spend at least 4 hours a day doing homework. If you've got a lecture, then that's the 4 hours that you're actually doing on that particular day itself. You have to be committed to doing that. Okay? And I find people that do that succeed a lot, because then you can go home and then you can spend time with your family and you can talk to people, and you've already done your 4 hours. Sitting down and actually arriving home at like 6:30, and then you need to speak to the wife, and the children run up to you and they give you a kiss and they want your time and attention. There's no way that you're going to be able to sit and actually work till 1 o'clock in the morning and do your stuff. You need to actually be disciplined and try to actually do you'll work in a place that you're not going to be interrupted and you can do high quality work at one point in time. So you need to sit down and decide, what is my day going to look like and how am I actually going to run that? How am I not going to spend time in traffic? I don't know whether you want to sit down and do work during your lunch hour. I just remember when I worked, there never ever was a lunch hour. You just work through your lunch hour. Maybe you used to eat a little bit while you were doing that, but you work through, you didn't get a lunch hour off. So you need to plan every minute of every single day and see whether you've got enough. Okay? Just one extra thing just with it. If you fall behind, this is one of the most intimidating things about CTA. Falling behind, you just see that it just keeps coming at you. It does. So you've got to try keep up to date as best as you can while you're doing something. If you find yourself 2 weeks behind, it's just almost impossible to catch up unless you're going to take a little bit of leave, if you're actually going to do that. Do you guys understand where I'm coming from? Okay, next thing, guys, you need to work consistently. Okay, you need to sit down, work consistently. And when I say work consistently, I just want to actually just share my insights. I've done this for about 25 years. Okay, reading is not working consistently. Okay, working consistently is doing lots and lots of writing within the program. If you guys want to actually come and sit here and just watch a lecture and say, oh shit, that made sense, that's not how you're going to pass. How you're going to pass is by sitting down and doing a lot of examples after you come to the lecture. There's a statistic that says that if you try to go over something within 48 hours of attending a lecture, you're 70% more likely to actually retain what it is that you're going to do. You will see when I start going through schedules with you, we don't ask you to do any homework on days that you've got a lecture. Those days are there for looking at what you did, trying to remember what you learned, and trying to go through and understand what it is that we actually went through with you. You have to actually spend that time going through that. But after that, rather do an example. If you screw up, then go and look at your notes again and see why you screwed up. You have to actually do tutorials. If you're not prepared to sit down and do examples, this is not the year for you. Okay? Because you cannot pass unless you actually practice. I've got so many students that come to me at the end of each year and actually look at me and say, but I read through everything, I listened to all the videos. If you haven't done the work itself, you are not going to pass. Okay, and I'll go through that in a little bit more detail later. Okay, next thing, guys, I've just got this. Write out a solution, not, oh yeah, oh yeah. Shit, I would have done that, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just want to actually just give you a little bit of insight into that. Okay, so when you sit down to write your board exam, there's a fixed mark plan. Okay, the markers are not allowed to write on your paper. So what they get given is they get a piece of paper and they're actually supposed to mark off blocks. So if you did that point, they'll tick off that block, and if that block's worth 2 marks, you'll get 2 marks for it. Okay? So I just want to introduce you to the concept that you can't look at a mark plan and go, oh yeah, I would have done that. You actually physically have to write it out, and then you have to mark yourself strictly. If something is not in a UNISA solution, you will not get a mark for it in an exam. Can I just explain why? Lots of us have actually marked here for UNISA. Okay? If the point is not on the mark plan, they need to be consistent for every human being. So I'm a nice oak, so for him, I'm going to give him a mark for that, but okay, someone else is not so nice and they won't give that person a mark for it. That's not fair. Does everybody understand that? So don't sit there and say, oh, I'm sure I would have got a mark for that. That does not apply. And the only way you're going to be able to see whether you are passing a question or not is by physically spending the time qualitatively, doing a proper solution under time constraint, and actually working through that. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to make a judgment call. Does everybody understand that? So just these things of saying, shit, I've got to put down a relevant point. No, you don't. You need to put down a relevant point that is actually on that mark plan. If it is not on that mark plan, you are not going to get a mark for it, which means exam technique is very, very important. So a lot of you, the guys that are out in auditing at the moment, it's terrible for you because you'll answer what you did out in practice, and that's not what's in the question. And unfortunately, there's a fixed mark plan, so you're not going to get a mark for that. Okay? Do you guys understand where I'm coming from? Okay? I just want to relay a story when I was at WITS. I was top student at WITS. And I failed auditing in my mid-year for CTA. Okay? And I got called in by the lecturer. And the lecturer walked in, he So his name is Prof. Dilton Hill. He looks at me and says, let me shake your hand. He says, that's the best stock question answer I've ever seen in my life. The best one. Okay. And I got a nice warm feeling. He says, but I just want to explain to you why you got 1 out of 40. Okay, and there were 700,000 stock items, there were 200 locations, and I did classical variable sampling, which for the guys that are repeats, you'll say, shit, what's that? Yes, it's not in the syllabus. But I thought that's the best way to do it, so I'm going to write that down. And he explained to me the concept of fixed mark plans, do what's in the question. Please don't answer what's not in the syllabus. And I just want to understand, you need to understand why you got 43 out of 100 for your paper. Okay, do you guys understand? So you need to monitor yourself and actually test yourself against the stuff on a consistent basis. No, oh yeah. Okay, well, yeah, I would have done that. Yeah, well, yeah. I want you to rather sit down. Sorry, auditing's a great one to use, okay? Because everybody does this with auditing. I don't want you to sit down and say, well, shit, they asked for controls, and there's an outstanding orders list, and I put down a point that said, just make sure that the outstanding orders list is being cleared on a time-yes basis. Okay? And shit, it's not in the mark plan, but they definitely would have given me the mark. And the answer is rather sit there and say, why is it not on the mark plan? And can I tell you why? Because as an auditor, you couldn't give a shit whether they were making sure all of the outstanding orders are converted into sales. What are you interested in? That the sales that have been made are recorded properly. So that's not supposed to be in the solution. No matter how much you would like it to be in the solution, it's not there. So either understand why it's not there, okay, and we'll go through the tools with you to actually do that. You need lots and lots of really good exam technique. And the only way you're going to devise that exam technique is by writing out a solution and marking yourself constructively. Last thing, again, I keep on saying this, don't read, write. Please, guys. It's not about reading and passing. You can read your textbook as many times as you like. If you're not prepared to sit down and actually write and do work, you're not going to succeed this year. Okay. So I just want to tell you how we run our courses. So we facilitate this process by, number one, we're lecturing a topic with summary notes. It's very, very difficult when you look at a textbook to know what's important and what's not important. So what we'll do is we'll show you, based on past history, what's important. The second thing is within a CTA program, everything's got a level 1 or a level 2 or a level 3 rating. So SACA rates it as very important or not so important. Okay? By reading a textbook, you can't really see what's important and what's not important. So we try to actually just separate all of that rubbish out by giving you a summary. And I always found with myself, so I can only just go back and actually talk to you guys, is that if you look at the summary and you see what's important, if you want to go back to a textbook after that, you know where to focus your attention. You're not going to sit there and say, well, there's 40 pages in the textbook. You may be able to say, these 10 pages are really important ones. I'm going to spend time on those 10 pages themselves. Is that all right? So we facilitate that process. We lecture a topic. What will then happen? Give you tutorial work to do. Often we'll give you something that's your own UNISA assignment. So something in your actual TAT letter itself. We'll ask you to go and do it because UNISA have told you to do it. And you should actually be doing that work itself. You're going to then go out and you're going to mark it. And we'll discuss it with you, going over the tutorial. And then you'll see what you could do right and what you could do wrong. And then if at first you don't succeed, another tutorial. And then go over the tutorial and then repeat. Do you guys understand where I'm coming from? And eventually you'll get there. Now, if anybody here is a perfectionist, okay, don't register. Okay, I've lectured many perfectionists in my life. You do not pass CTA. There's too much breadth in this course. If you want to try and make sure you know how to do absolutely everything properly, you do not have sufficient hours in the day. Maybe on your 7th attempt at CTA, you'll finally be happy with yourself. Okay, I've seen students that come in with straight A's, okay, full distinctions in their undergrad, and they just can't handle CTA. Because in undergrad, you do a lot of depth down, but in CTA, there's a lot more breadth across and a little bit less depth down. The level 3 stuff you need to do in depth, but not everything needs to be done in depth. So guys, if you want to actually be a perfectionist, not the course for you. Absolutely not the course, okay? And you need to get that out of your heads. I actually still see one of my ex-students. She graduated cum laude undergrad, and she's actually now PA, okay? She actually failed CTA the first time she wrote, and she could not actually get over the fact that she needed to understand absolutely everything perfectly. And she actually stopped. She didn't even finish writing her CTA exam. She stopped before the end. She says she's very happy now. And like I speak to her and I like chat to her because it's like something I like to talk to students about. And like she says, her personality prevented her from actually doing this. She just couldn't actually do that. Please just understand that. You can't be a perfectionist on this course. Okay, guys, then what happens at the end of everything? There's a sim test to prepare for each UNISA test. We would like you to come here and actually write it and actually experience what it is like to write a UNISA test. We'll do it in the same order that UNISA are going to do the test, so that you'll sit down on a Sunday here, and then 10 days later, you're going to go through that same experience at UNISA. We'll say, start writing, and you'll do it in the order. You'll see how tired you are. We'll teach you how to eat, because you need to eat properly for an exam. Because by the time you get to the third, fourth, and fifth exams, you're going to want to have a sleep. For the guys that pull out a Coke and drink a Coke, you know what happens out at work. Actually, maybe not now, because they've taken the sugar, it seems, out of cold drinks. But you used to drink the Coke and go. That's when you wanted to sleep in the afternoon. So you've got to actually just sort all of that out. And practice is better. You get used to writing for that format, and it becomes learned behavior. You're much, much better. You know how to actually deal with this stuff. So sim test. And then, guys, just after we finished all 4 tests, okay, if you register for every single subject with us, there's a revision program that's provided, included in your fees, if you register for all 5. So that's a 7 to 8 week revision program, 2 days, 16 hours for each subject revision. So you come in, if you want to sit there and say, sure, I can't remember what happened in VAT. Edwin will stand there and say, this is important in VAT, and go through it. So it's quite good. Rather than reading through your notes, it's better to come and sit down and actually maybe listen to a tax lecture for 16 hours, go over the whole syllabus again to remind you of what you did in test 1, 2, and 3. Is that all right? 33-hour case studies that you get given to do. So 6 case studies per subject, 100 marks, old exam questions similar to exams to do. And we'll go through all of those in class. Okay? Or there'll be a video for it. 10 sim exams, just before the exams, you'll sit down and we'll simulate an exam for you to do. You'll be able to mark and see whether you're ready for an exam. So that's all included in there as well. I know this seems intimidating, and I just want to discuss something. Okay, if you're a part-timer and you work, go and sort out your leave now. Okay, I suggest that you take it off from the 1st of September. Generally, that works quite well. Okay, if you don't sort out your leave now, there'll be other people that sort out their leave, and you won't be able to take leave. And you need to actually prioritize and do the stuff first. Is that all right? One of the first things you need to do is go out and actually just plan your leave out properly. Is that all right? Whatever it needs. The exam timetable they published today, it's provisional, so you can go have a look and see. It's actually up on the UNISA site now. And that's there. Okay. So why Edge? So you're sitting here. So lots and lots of options available to help you with your CTA studies. So I'm just going to go through a little bit about us. I can't comment about other people, and I don't want to run anybody else down or preach what they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to run their CTA programs for the year, but just for us, okay? So first thing, we've got tons of experience in the UNISA space. So Charles and I have been lecturing for, this is our 25th year of CTA that we're lecturing. So since 1994, okay? We've been lecturing this. Okay, so we know what's happening within the UNISA space. The notes and tutorials that we've got, this is not something that we've done over the last 1 or 2 years. This is something that's been developed as an asset over a 25-year period. So we've got the resources that we've actually done. We know what works, we know what doesn't work within that itself. Okay, third thing itself, okay, we've got a good relationship with the College of Accounting Sciences. We try to work with them. UNISA hasn't actually got licensees at the moment in an academic space, which means that we need to work with the department directly, although that might change. I've actually asked for a license now, which will make our life far more formalized and supportive. We're not recommended by UNISA. No one is. They don't recommend licensees at the moment. Okay, I've spoken to them this year. Apparently, they want to look to actually add some licensees back. Charles and I used to run with a UNISA license, but now we can't. No one's actually got that license. So this is at your own risk itself, and I feel obliged to actually just tell you that. Okay, we do speak to the guys, we do stuff. Okay? But here's the thing, we don't know what's coming up in your exam, which means that we have to teach you everything, and we have to make sure that you guys understand all of the concepts itself. Because even if the lecturer were to tell me what's coming up in your paper, I wouldn't tell you. It's not fair. Okay? And I'll just explain that to you as well. Okay? I was at WITS. I helped someone pass a SAP at WITS when I was on staff there. Okay? That person never ever passed the board exam. It is not okay. This is not just to pass CTA. You need to qualify as a professional with this at the end of the day as well. I'm not going to give you stuff. I will sit there and I'll prepare you for an exam, but I'll never ever tell you what's in the exam if I find out, and they don't tell me. I don't want to know. Okay? But prepare you properly for each individual subject itself. Okay? We've got a proven track record. Now, just before I discuss this, I want to explain it's at two levels. So we've got unbelievable results, okay, for top students at UNISA. This past year, number 1 and 2 at UNISA were our students, okay? 10-year period had number 1 or 2 for 10 years in a row, okay? So for top students, we're great. We produce fantastic top students. If you want to excel and you that person that wants to finish first, it's a great place for you, okay? But I don't define myself, nor do I think any of us in the program define ourselves by what we can do for the top students. You guys are going to pass anyway, okay? If you can finish top 20, that's absolutely fantastic. Your mother will love it and she'll brag about it forever, and that's wonderful. But what actually drives me personally is that I want to get the guys that can't pass to actually pass, because I think that's actually great. So what happened over the years is, like, when we started off, we used to get lots of guys coming from UJ and from Wits and from Pretoria, and they couldn't pass there. And then all of a sudden, they started passing, and they passed the board exam. Matter of fact, I had one student who actually almost punched a professor because he had failed at one of the varsities, and he actually finished third in one of the board exams. And the lecturer actually looked at him and said, "What happened to you?" And it was just that he had someone that would sit down and explain to him, whereas he couldn't get that in the institution itself. So I'm much more in tune with trying to actually getting the guys that can't pass to pass. That's what drives me. That's why I'm here. Okay, I will get the good guys to do well, and as will all of the staff. So high historical pass rates. Okay, we don't know what our pass rates are for this year, so I'm going to preempt because I always get asked that question. We're still collating information. I spoke to Joe before I came in here. Joe thinks our marks are better this year than they were last year. So last year we had pass rates of around about 50 to 70% for the individual subjects, and then 1 in every 5 students, not this last year, the year before in 2017. I haven't got all the results yet for this year, and I will tell you that when I find them out in class. But 1 in 5 guys actually managed to go forward and write their board exam. 20%. I can promise you that was at least 3 to 4 times more than the percentage at UNISA. Okay, so that's what happened in 2017. This year, marks look great. They really do. We're a lot more strict with students in the 2018 year than we were in the 2017 year, but I'll discuss that in a little bit more detail with you now. Okay. So help achievers to succeed, top 2 in 2018 CTA exams, one of the top 2 students for 10 consecutive years. Okay. Fantastic, passionate lecturers. I don't know whether anybody knows Ro. We all aspire to be like Rolene over there. Okay? I promise you. Okay? She will give you absolutely everything and then 500% more to actually try to get you through an exam. And although we'd like to be like Ro, we can't, and we will basically try as best as we can to actually to get you to pass through an exam itself. Okay? So really, we actually do want you to actually pass. Okay? So basically, full-time, part-time, and online options. Okay, so choose what your poison is. Do you want full-time? Do you want part-time? Do you want online? Run all 3 programs, and I'll go through those 3 programs with you now. Okay, and if you miss a lecture, you can see it online. So it's always there. And I'll tell you what's in an online class a little bit later. Okay, now I just want to go through this, and this is how we define success. Okay, so number 1, throughput rates. So have to get through it and actually qualify for your degree. Okay. So we really, really want to actually see throughput rates. And I know that you sit there and I say 1 in 5 got to write the board exam. Okay. That is very, very high in the UNISA context itself. So I don't look at individual subject pass rates. I try to look at, you need to pass all 5, so go get all 5. Although with certain people, you might just want to get the higher diploma, and then we'll help you to pass the 5 individual subjects. If you don't want to do all 5 and you just want to get your high diploma, you can register for individual subjects themselves. Okay? And then I just want to introduce the concept of your own personal brand. What we try to do is we try to make you better. Okay? I normally sit down with audit firms and I can look at people and I can say, they'll say, what will you give to our employees? So I say, number one, I'll train someone properly and they'll pass their exams and they'll be there ready to succeed. Number two, if the guys fail, they'll be much better versions of themselves at the end of the year because we'll skill them up tremendously while you're actually doing that as well. So even if they failed, we'll skill you up. And then there's always a third category. And like if I'm speaking to a corporate, I say, I'll give you the ammunition to fire them because they don't do any work. Okay? And if you don't want to do any work, you're going to fail and you shouldn't actually be doing this in the first place. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money, just actually do stuff normally. Okay? And we want to make you a better person. So I know that people last year, I'll give you an example with me, people were really frustrated with me with management accounting. They were very frustrated because I tried to sit there and I discussed current events and I discussed how to answer papers and whatever, and I didn't do so many paint by numbers stuff with them. At the end of the day, the marks were much, much higher than we've ever had for math. Okay? Because the guys understood what it is that they were doing, but they felt like they weren't doing anything, but they were actually learning how to read and answer properly. So the actual finance marks were fantastic. Okay? And we went through a situation after test one when the average mark in the full-time and part-time class was well above 60%. Okay? Which has never ever happened in the context. So at the end of the day, we're trying to make you better. You might not know that while we're trying to do that, but we are trying to actually get you to actually do the stuff itself. And then we're a learning partner for life. So once you're finished, you want to come back to us for CPD and do all of that stuff, that's something that we do as well. So we can actually facilitate and actually go through that. Next thing, financial aid for students. I like to do this before I show you the courses. Okay? So 5 million in bursaries, that's what we allocate each year. Okay? If you can't afford, come speak to us. Okay? Please, if you are someone that is earning 60,000 Rand a month, and I get an income statement, and you're spending, this is a true case scenario, okay? You're paying 21,000 off on your first car, and you're paying 18,000 Rand off on your second car. Okay, and at the end of the month, you show me that, shit, I just don't have money to pay the fees at the end of the day. Shit, I'm so poor, I can't afford your fees. Okay, obviously, we're going to say no to you. But if there's a genuine financial need, please come and speak to us. We give lots and lots of bursaries out. Okay? But we will do a proper audit of it and we will try to actually help you. In the past, we used to sit there and say, if you earned less than 16,000 Rand as a family unit, so if you're living with your husband, then automatic bursary. Okay? And depending on the percentages, depending on what we actually have a look at. If you've got big investments and you've got like a R1 million investment portfolio, of course we're not going to give you a bursary. Okay? But we really, really do want to help. And I need you to understand that when we talk about it, if you can't afford fees, come just speak to us. Okay? Make a plan. We give out 5 million Rand in financial aid. We didn't get there last year. We only got to about 3.5 million. So if more people had spoken, we could have helped more people. Okay. Okay, if you can only afford online but would like to do full or part-time, please just come speak to us. Okay, there were a number of people last year that want registered for online and said, oh shit, I wish I could come to lectures, and we converted them through into full-time students. You want to do that, we will make a plan and we will try to help you. Okay, if you can't afford it, it's fine, we can actually try to help you out. Is that all right? Really, really. At the end of the day, we're here to actually make a difference in your lives. So, and if you know anybody that can't afford the stuff, get them to come speak to us. Okay? It is a bit of a rigorous process, and you need to give us 3 months bank statements and an income statement and stuff like that, but we really, really do want to help. Okay. Okay, and just one more thing. We expect more from a bursary student, so I just need you to understand, if we do give you a bursary and you want to stuff around, we'll kick you off the program far quicker than we'll do it for someone that doesn't screw around. Okay, and also, I like to say this, but whatever you do later on, we like you to pay it back. So when we say pay it back, it means going out into your communities and helping in the communities and helping other people to actually do stuff. Not helping us, but go out. One of my ex-students, he had given up hope. He's now senior partner at one of the audit firms. Okay, and he sponsors 28 people to go to university every single year. pays fees for 28 people. Okay, I never knew audit partners made that much money, but that's his way of actually doing that. Okay, 3 study options, guys. So full-time, 45. I know it sounds a lot, okay, but there's so much value that's actually included in there. This is not like a traditional varsity course where you might get like 3 hours per subject per week. You will be here Monday to Friday, and we will monitor every single moment, and we'll give you homework over the weekends. It's totally, totally different. Okay? If you want to join our full-time program, okay, you belong to us. We will mold you, and we'll make sure you do work, and we will monitor absolutely everything that you do and push you. And if you don't do something, we will. Depends on how you go. Certain people will scream at you, other people will react differently, but we will be on your back the whole time itself. Okay? You'll be monitored by us. So homework submission compulsory. It is not acceptable not to hand in homework. You will hand in every single bit of homework that gets given to you. Class attendance is going to be monitored. All tests need to be done. Okay? And we will actually mark some of those tests for you and give you feedback to actually show you what's happening. Okay, just with the work schedule itself, guys, just let me explain what actually ends up happening with a full-timer. I just want to start that on a Thursday, what actually happens. So Thursdays and Fridays are mostly allocated for lecturing and doing a bit of tutorials after the lecturing itself. So they're big sessions, at least 3 to 4 hours per subject, and we will go through something. We will then finish that lecturing on the Thursday and Friday, and then what will end up happening is over the weekend, we'll give you homework to do. It's 10 hours of work per weekend for a full-time class. You want to do all of it on Saturday, great. You want to do all of it on Sunday, fantastic. Want to do half of it on Saturday, half of it on Sunday, it's cool. I can't like believe you need to take a day off. So to me, I would do all of it on one day. And then on Monday, you're into tutorials. And whatever work you did over the weekend, we're going to be going through into a tutorial session. All 5 subjects on a Monday. On a Tuesday, you come in here, and we will facilitate 10 hours of work from you here. And on Wednesday, we're going to be in there actually going through all 10 hours of that homework with you in a tutorial format. And then the thing starts again. A little bit more lecturing, so we can teach you a little bit more, and then work and more work and more work. That's what a full-time student is, okay? This is your full-time job. You will work for us, and you will make sure that you know how to actually do everything. Okay, so I've got the stuff there. Okay, Mondays and Wednesdays, all 5 subjects, tutorials. Tuesdays, not off, 10 hours of work allocated for Wednesday tuts. Weekends are not off, 10 hours of work allocated every single weekend. Use of our facilities 24/7. You want to come live here, and there are some people that lived here this last year. You're welcome to come live here. Okay, they were there every time I walked in. If you want to get help from my lecturers, just go find the lecturer, you'll be able to get help if you make an appointment with them. Okay, if I'm not busy, you can walk into my office and you can ask me for help. Okay, online Google Classroom included. I'll go through what that means now. Feedback from mock class test, year-end revision program included. That's a full-time program. Okay. Part-time, we're doing something different this year. So I want to explain. Often the people want to actually do FNAC, or they want to do MANAC, and then do online for the rest of the stuff. So this year we've catered for it. So we've said 16,000 Rand, all subjects part-time, if you want to do that. Okay? 13.5 if you want to do FAC and MAC, come to lectures and do online tax and audit. And then if you just want to do FAC face-to-face, you can do that and do the other 3 online. That's 12,500 Rand. So you can choose what it is that you actually want to do. Because some people do like to actually attend lectures for the stuff. Just from practical experience, we have done stuff like this in the past. Okay. Generally, you can do auditing and tax more in like a block release online and actually still get good marks for it. Okay. MAC and FNAC, people really, really struggle to pass with. If you don't do the work, you're not going to get past it. And you need to be monitored on those 2 subjects and motivated on those 2 subjects. Okay. And that's just from, I've run programs like this in the past. They've been very, very successful. So those do work. Guys, full work schedule provided. So we'll tell you what to do. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Just basically what happens here is FAC and tax are on weekends. So you either get FAC or tax. Try not to do both days on a weekend. But right at the beginning, we like to get all of the information disseminated. So lecture to you. But then we try to do tutorials alternately on a weekend. So you've always got a day free on the weekend itself. Okay? Every Tuesday is Mac, just basic I lecture Mac. So you need to do a concept and then practice that concept and then build and then work and then build and work and build and work. I think Mac is much, much better that way. I don't think you can actually lecture Mac for like 8 hours and then expect people to know how to do everything. You need to build up competences slowly. Okay? Audit, exactly the same way. Okay, so that's the view with that. Homework is allocated for all days where there are no lectures. So if you do not have a lecture, there's homework. Okay, and the way that it works, guys, is as follows. I will just show you what you get given. Sorry, I just want to go here. That is part-time. So this is kind of like what a pacer would look like for a part-time class. So just to start off with, IFRS lecture, 8-hour block release. Give you lots and lots of stuff, and then you can start doing tutorials one by one after that. Tax assignment 103. Got 2 tax assignments for test 1. So, whole day. And then, Monday, there's no lecture, so 2 homework sessions. Tuesday, there is a lecture, no homework on that day itself. Wednesday, no lectures, 2 homework sessions. So if you want to do that early morning and then just after work, that works very, very well. Thursday, audit lecture. Friday, we try only give you 1 session on a Friday. And if you do it in the morning, that's fantastic. You can go out and enjoy yourself on a Friday night. Saturday, again, if there's a lecture, it's a lecture. Otherwise, there's 3 tutorials across here. If you guys see that, 6 hours of work. If you want to do more, absolutely fine. We'll give you extra work to do, but this is the bare minimum that we think you need to actually do in order to actually have a chance of passing. I know it looks a bit intimidating, huh? So you need to do the work. Just looking at the numbers here, just to actually just take it through. So if you've got lectures, it's normally around about 16 hours lectures a week. Okay? And then normally 8 homework sessions, which is another 16 hours of homework in a week. Often we'll get you to do some questions in class. We'll get you to do work in class itself. But we're expecting you to do 32 hours of work outside of your normal job for a part-timer. Okay? That's what you need. If you're not prepared to do that, you're not going to pass. Okay. Let's just go back. Guys, help from lecturers by appointment. Online Google Classroom is included. Year-end revision program included if you do all 5 subjects, and there's a work plan provided. You can either stick to it, or this is what we say you need to do as a bare minimum to actually get through everything. And if you come to the lectures, the work program is facilitated around the contact that we actually have with you. Okay. But online. Okay, 10,000 or 5 subjects. So, fixed fee. Or if you want to do both facts, 3750. So there's a little bit of linking in between. So we charge a little bit of a lesser amount. 2,500 for tax or audit or Mac. If you want to do individual subjects, that's fine. You don't get the notes handed out to you. You have to print your own notes. So if you come full-time or part-time, we give you all of the material. Online, up to you to print out your own stuff. Okay? Year-end revision program included if you do all 5 subjects. But again, it's in an online space. It's not face-to-face. The part-time guys can come to a face-to-face revision program, whereas the online guys will do it online. Generally, the online will be around about a day behind the other program, because we'll record and then we'll upload it onto the system itself. Okay, just what is an online class? So I'm just going to show you here, and we've changed a little bit for this year, and I'm just going to come back to this list. So Google Classroom created for each subject. So what does that mean? You'll be able to log on to Google Classroom, and there will be 5 subjects that will sit out there in front of you. I've got a lot more on my profile over here. When you want to do something, what you can do is you can sit there and say, listen, I want to do Mac 4861 to full-time, part-time online, and you can click into it. Inside it in here, included in here, there's a stream where you can actually create a chat room, and the lecturers are on there. They'll answer your questions. If you raise the query on there, I get an email, and then I can reply to that email itself. Or you can chat amongst yourselves if you actually want to do that. These are the people on the course. Let me rather just take that off, guys. And then included in there, there's a pacer. So if you click on the pacer here, this is what a pacer looks like. So week 1, this is what the lecture's on. There's a material link. So basically, this is the notes for this particular thing. If you're a full-time or part-time, we will hand it out. But you can access the notes online if you want to access the notes. And then there's a video link. So you put your cursor over the video link, and you can go watch the YouTube video. You have to be logged in with your EBS email address, otherwise it won't work. Okay, so you have to be logged in with your EBS email address. Okay. Often the biggest problem is you say it's just not working. You're in with the wrong Gmail address. You need to use the EBS address itself, otherwise it won't work. And then we tell you what homework to do, what pre-reading to do as we go across, what post-lecture homework you need to do, what questions there are for 4861, what questions there are for 4862. Are you guys comfortable with that? But what's happening here is it's going to be a little bit different this year. So number 1, we're not separating out our classrooms with full-time, part-time, or online. We're only doing one class. So essentially what's going to be in that class is there'll be one tab, and that'll be previous lectures for the course. So if you want to work ahead, by all means, you can work ahead. You can go look at previous year's lectures. Just understand that sometimes for tax, the rates have changed and some of the laws changed. For auditing, there can be changes in there, but it's a little bit dangerous to do that. All full-time lectures, recorded. That's in a different tab. All part-time lectures, different tab. Okay? So if you want to go and see what you did in the part-time class, someone has to do everything, please don't be like that. But if you want to see what we did in the full-time class and you're a part-time student with amounts, you can go look at it and do something. Okay, so everything gets recorded in there. Everybody's on the same classroom this year. Okay, and then there's an additional material thing as well. So we will give you extra examples we've done and stuff like that. If you want to go and do extra work outside of what we tell you to do, there's a ream of stuff outside of that you can go and do as well. Okay, often with extra questions, and we've already done a tutorial on that, so we'll put a previous year's tutorial up for you to have a look at that. Are you guys comfortable? So that's an online classroom itself. So just going back over here, guys, so what is an online class? Google Classroom creates it for each subject. So you'll click a tab on Google and it'll take you into that structure. 5 classrooms there, click on the classroom you actually want to go into. All-in-one pacer. So you click onto this all-in-one pacer. Okay, looks like this. It basically gives you an outline for the whole year, a work plan to do. And there's an online tab, previous years. This year's full-time lectures, this year's part-time lectures, additional work that could be done, and there's a work plan built into that pacer itself for you guys to do. Homework and tutorials included on the pacer. You saw there's links to notes, there's links to videos. Okay. Group Classroom creates a chat room, so that's that stream that I showed you. And the lecturers and students take part in that chat stream. So that's what an online classroom looks like. Just payment terms. Now, I'm just trying to actually just go through all the questions that I know people ask. If you pay up front or pay by the end of February, no administration fee. If you want to pay over 4 months, there's a 5% admin fee. So your fee plus 5%. If you want to pay over 9 months, it's your fee plus 10%, and you can pay off over 9 months itself. Okay. And again, if you can't afford it, please come ask us. And then if you got firsts previous year, you get certain amounts for discounts. If you got 10 firsts, you can get almost 100% discounts on that. You get 9 or 10 distinctions last year, it's 75% off. 5 to 6 is less amounts, but every distinction you got last year, that's at least, is it 500 Rand off, Joe? 500 Rand off your fees for every single distinction. So if you join the online class and you got 10 distinctions in 3rd year, it'll cost you 5,000 Rand to do the online class, because 10,000 minus the 5. Try before you buy. So if you're not sure whether you want to come here or not, first week is for free. Okay, and inside that first week, you will see a fact lecture. You will see a tax lecture. That's a Saturday and a Sunday. You will see a Manac lecture on the Tuesday, and you will see a auditing lecture on the Thursday. If you don't want to register yet, absolutely fine. We'll hand out limited notes to you. So when you see the guys walking around with a big pack like this, just understand you're not getting the pack. Okay, you're just getting a small little summary set itself. That only happens when you register. But if you want to come and see whether you like us or not, come. That first week, we start lectures on the 28th, and it's a Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Please feel free to come and actually see whether you like the stuff. If you can't get the money together and you're going to take time, just come speak to us. We'll provisionally register you and allow you to come into classes itself after that. I know there are a whole lot of people that are trying to sort out finance and do stuff. Okay? And please, this is a true story from last year. I found out one of the students in our full-time class, his mother went and sold her car so he could actually come and attend full-time. And I actually refunded him a large portion of his fees so his mother didn't have to sell the car. Please, if you're in that situation and there's nothing there, please just come speak to us. Okay? So we will try and actually help you out with that. Okay. Lecturers and textbooks. So what I just want to do is I just want to introduce you to guys, and I'd like one of the two of the people just to come up and actually just have a little bit of a chat. I know you all want to know whether you should buy all of these textbooks as well, so each of us will deal with it when we do the courses. So Charles, what are you going to do for FAC?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Charles Forbes. Steve and I have been partners for longer than I care to remember. Both, yeah, a lot longer than I was married to my wife, because my wife left me because I used to spend too much time with the students. Lecturing, that is. We share very similar philosophy, so I'm not going to get into that into too much detail. Suffice to say that Rolene and I run the financial accounting. Obviously, there are the two modules there. There's the IFRS module and the groups module, so it's quite a bit bigger than any of the other courses as financial accounting is concerned. Level 2 is to be a little bit not concerned, but at level 2 there is some degree of integration between IFRS and groups. So sometimes you'll find something in the IFRS paper will be an elimination of an intercompany in the groups paper. Okay, so we do need to be quite sharp on the two of them, particularly at level 2. This year I'm actually based in the United States of America. Okay, I was given a green card a while back, and I need to exercise that. So I'm going to be doing quite a bit of consulting, trying to take IFRS to the US. But just to assure you that I'm going to be actively involved in the online space, and then I'm coming back to do my lectures as I did last year in a block release fashion. Okay, so I'm coming back to do the lectures for each test. Okay, and then Rolene will be doing most of the tutorials. Okay, for those of you that know us, she's probably a bit more fun than I am in a tutorial space anyway. Lectures we need to get done super quickly, super fast, and typically, I think when it comes to speed, I've probably been the best guy for that job. So it's quite a nice balance as far as that's concerned. But just if you have been hearing rumors about me, you're not being here, I'm physically going to be living in the US, but I'll be flying out here 5 times during the course of 2019. Okay, but that's really financial accounting, you know, how the department's going to be set up. As far as the books are concerned, obviously, you've got to buy the open book books. Okay, so a guide through IFRS, the green books, okay, those you will need. Do you need the most up-to-date version? If you've got last year's, you're going to be fine. All right, there's nothing except for framework. There's nothing that is outrageously different. So I don't think I'd rush out and buy new ones now if you're repeating from last year. I'd be reluctant to advise you to take anything older than that. All right. So those are the books that you absolutely need, and those are the ones that you take into the exam with you. So you need to make those your own. As far as the other prescribed books are concerned, descriptive accounting is it's a fantastic book. So I've got nothing bad to say about descriptive accounting. My advice to you on this is as follows, though, is that we put you through your paces. All right. So there's not a lot of time to do much beyond what it is that we tell you to do every week. If you look at the timetable there, you know, there's barely time to eat, sleep, and maybe get a bit of exercise. Okay, so there's not a lot of time to refer back to the source text as far as that's concerned, because IFRS already is about 4,000 pages. So it's extremely voluminous, much more so than any of the other subjects. So what I'm going to suggest is don't rush out and buy descriptive accounting. Okay? Don't rush and say, I absolutely need it. For some of you, as a reference text, you might really enjoy it. Okay? So if you come to myself or Rotary in the course of the year and you're saying to us, listen, I just need a bit more background, I need a bit more reading to do, then that's the book I'm going to suggest that you get. Okay? The same goes for group statements. It's a 2-volume book. So again, you're looking at probably about 1,500 odd bucks, for both volumes. Volume 1 really is your 3rd-year stuff. Okay? And again, I've got to be honest. I'm going to be covering a lot of that stuff in my lectures. All right? Certainly those students that came through undergrad with us, those bases are covered. Looking at the two of you, believe you me, you don't need to go and buy group statements. Okay? You've got that stuff covered down pat. So once again, I would say to you, in the event that you're having, a big weakness in a certain area, rather let me deal with that or let Rode deal with that on an individual basis. So, I might say to you, listen, you might need extra work to do on consolidations, but it might not be group statements, or it might not be volumes 1 and 2. I might just say, get volume 2. Okay, so, I know it's a big outlay, CTA, in terms of your time, your money, everything. It's a lot of pressure on you. And, to go out and buy a book that you basically never open, we don't need to add that stress. So I think let's deal with that on a case-by-case basis. But the big IFRS, absolutely you need. The other textbooks, let's deal with those on a case-by-case basis. All right.
Okay, guys, I'm going to be very, very short. Um, so I'll be lecturing you tax with Stephen. So I'll take test 1, test 2, and test 4, and Stephen will take test 3. I see quite a few of my kids from tax 1501 who did very, very well from 1501 all the way to 3702. Very similar to what we did in undergrad from a lecturing perspective, and you guys will enjoy lectures as they have for the past 3 years with me. So from a textbook perspective, there's Silk, which is the very, very thick volume. How many pages? It's huge. Okay, it's a very, very huge textbook. As Stephen says, fantastic doorstop, but it's an amazing book, guys. But you do not have time to go through the entire book. Stephen, especially, has prepared a very detailed pack of thick notes, and I've prepared a very nice, short, handwritten summary of notes, and that, guys, I think should suffice to actually take you through the year. But as Charles has said, if there's something that you're struggling with, probably you might have to buy the textbook, but only if you're struggling with something. All right, other than that, guys, that's me. Cool.
If you guys want to be a tax consultant, buy the book, because you need to buy a tax textbook every year. Because normally at some stage in your career, you'll find an accountant, normally a CA, come to you and say, shit, I've forgotten to submit my tax returns for the last 10 years. So in my personal experience, only CAs that do that. It's the most amazing thing. And then you're not going to remember what the tax law was for 2019, but because you've kept that book on your shelf, you'll be able to help them, and you'll know what the tax tables are and all of that stuff. So if you want to do something, always buy a tax textbook each and every year. If you ever think you're going to, go out into practice for yourself. Is that all right? I promise you. I used to laugh that I used to keep the stuff, and I used to get guys coming in and saying, I need to catch up 8 years now. And you're not going to remember what was in the syllabus for that year. You're going to have to go back and just have a little bit of a look. Okay. I'm just here to talk about Mac. Okay. So finance, I'm going to be doing finance with you guys. Sharon's actually going to be doing cost, but we're actually going to mix up a little bit as well. You'll probably find me coming in for a lot of some of the tutorials in costing, Sharon coming in for some of the tutorials in a finance space itself. Okay. Two of us are working together. Sharon's actually the department head, not me. Sharon has lectured for us in the past. Students love her, great marks, fantastic. But at an undergraduate level, this is her first year at postgrad, okay? And I've been doing postgrad for a very, very long time, okay? Just again, from my perspective, I'm going to get you to understand stuff, okay? I'm not going to sit there and actually teach you how to paint by numbers. You don't pass management accounting by doing that. It is impossible to actually do that. As far as textbooks are concerned, let me just explain. Okay, you'll get a summarized set of notes from us from a Mac perspective. Okay, if you want to go get the textbook, it'll show you what's important in the textbook and where to get the stuff. I personally would get the textbooks because what happens a lot in the Unisat letters is they refer to stuff in the textbooks itself that they say you need to know how to do. The textbooks don't normally change. You'll see that they're the same as last year. So whatever you had last year will actually carry on through. Nice thing about Manac, it doesn't really change. So if you buy the edition this year, when you want to buy it in 10 years' time, it'll probably look the same anyway. Okay, some different questions and stuff like that. So to me, I would buy the textbook. There's always going to be stuff that you're going to use later on in life with those textbooks as well. You're going to have to draw up a business plan. You're going to say, sure, how did I do a business plan? And you'll know that there's going to be a section in the book to actually do that. So come across something that you need a little bit of revision on. Again, the notes are great. Okay, I find with part-timers in particular, you don't really have time to actually go through and actually have a look at a textbook in detail. It will allow you to know what's important and what's not important in the textbook if you want to go have a look at something. So I might discuss what came up in this year's exam was a forward-based earnings valuation. Okay, I'll do one in class. Okay, and if you want to go have a look at more of them, then more of them is sitting inside the textbook itself. Okay, and you have to actually work through the stuff. So I don't know. I would get the books. Jury is also fantastic. The costing book. It's a great thing. If you ever suffer from insomnia or stress in the future, it is the best thing to put you to sleep. So short periods in it, great textbook, just very, very verbose. So yeah, never mind. I can talk for a long time, but that one, it's like people have got allocations of words. That whoever wrote that has got a much bigger allocation of words than I've ever had in my life. Okay. So, but again, good textbook itself. So to me, have a look to see what you actually want to do. Again, the textbooks are not that expensive. So it's about $500 for the finance textbook, $500 for the management accounting textbook, for the costing textbook. So not bad. Tutorials wise, we give you a lot of stuff. I mean, we've got board exams dating back to the year dot, and it's a nice thing about finance and costing. It doesn't really change that much over time. Finance does change the nature, but costing is very much the same. So look at that. Just one thing with tax, you do need to buy a cycle legislation handbook for tax, because you get to take that into your exam, and we'll show you how to tag that in your exam. So you'll be able to find the stuff. More and more so within a tax framework, they actually ask you to quote section numbers, and maybe it's what happened in the board exam is got asked an impossible thing. So normally you would see a question out of 5 marks, but then they give you something out of 20 marks in a board exam. Unless you've actually got that section there that you can go have a look at, because the only way you can go from 5 marks to 20 marks is by taking it one section at a time, if that makes sense to you. So you normally, it's not about getting the answer, it's about that process. It's like all the foreplay you have before you start sex. So you need that book so you can have that foreplay properly in an exam, okay? And it's very, very difficult. There's been one or two things. There's been terrible, terrible marks in board exams where they've actually given you stuff and you need the textbook there and you need to go through it section by section. So you do need to get that legislation handbook, and you'll carry it forward into your exam as well. We'll show you how to code it. Okay, so that's Mac. Just auditing, I just want to just explain something. It's Kaylee and question mark. I didn't want to put somebody's name. I'm waiting for someone to sign a contract, and I didn't want to put their name down. Okay, and I can't say. You will find out the moment that I get that person to actually, I get the signed contract back from that. But Kaylee will be assisted by someone, CA, and very, very competent human being to actually do the auditing with you. But Kaylee is in charge of the subject. She's actually the course coordinator itself. So I just want to actually just pass it across to Kaylee.
Okay, hi guys. My name's Kaylee, as you've heard. I am CA and SEMA qualified. I was a UNISA student myself. I did CTA level 1 and CTA level 2. I used to sit there. I think Charles remembers. So yeah, I believe strongly in Edge. I came to Edge for my undergrad. I came to Edge for CTA level 1, level 2. I was privileged enough to be a full-time student. And I'm even on the video in the front. If you don't believe how much I believe in Edge, so you can watch it afterwards. So why do I believe in Edge so strongly? CTA is difficult. Okay, we all know that. You can work really hard and you can put in hours and hours and hours without. I'm just gonna hold it here. Is that fine? Because I'm having difficulty. Without having the right strategy, it is difficult to make it. So Edge has the experience, they have the know-how, they will guide you and give you a strategy. I'm sure you guys have seen the timetable. I mean, we have a plan for you and how you're going to get through it. So CTA is stressful. You don't need the stress of trying to plan it on your own. It's already done for you here. Okay. And then with regards to the auditing, the way I plan to approach it is, when I studied it, I preferred how it was done, where it was done. Lectures were done up front, so you've got all your theory, you've got your understanding, and then after that it's about practicing questions. Your question will be, well, I'll give you questions for homework, you'll do them in your own time and come to class and we'll go through them. And auditing is not that challenging, so I always say in auditing, your answer is in your question. They give you things in your question as a trigger. When you read something, I'll show you in class, okay, when you read this, you should think of these things. This is what you need to look for. This is how you need to answer. So I think that's the best way to go about auditing. With regards to the textbooks, you will need your psycho legislation textbooks. You take those in your exams with you. And please do your tagging probably throughout the year, because that's what you take into RTC. And you don't have time in your RTC prep to now be tagging. So you need to work on that consistently throughout the year. And also, with regards to the other textbooks, you can buy them for reference purposes, but when I did it, I focused on questions. I would rather be practicing questions and doing quality questions than reading theory. You need to learn how to apply your theory, and that's why I would say do your questions first. I believe the notes that we give you in class are sufficient, and if you really need that extra help, then only would you then refer to the textbook. But obviously, I'm also here for consultation, so rather come to me before you spend hours reading a textbook as well. And then also, I think what's very important when it comes to CTA is mindset. I think a lot of people underestimate that, should I say. Your mindset is very important. So, has anyone here heard of the 4-minute mile ever? No one? Have you heard of it? So, essentially, in the 1950s, they said no one will ever run a mile in under 4 minutes. And that was what people believed, and no one ever did it. As soon as one person did it, from the 1950s until today, 1,400 people have broken that record. Why? Because they saw it was possible. So you need to believe it's possible for yourself to pass CTA, and once you believe it's a possibility for you, it'll make a world of difference. And I wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for these lecturers. They lectured me. I would not be CA. I would not be CIMA without them. And the strategies and techniques that they taught me, I applied myself now in doing CIMA. So it's not just for this year, guys. It's for your life. Okay. Is there anything else? I think I'm done. Did I address it?
Guys, just want to actually just share something with you. So Kaylee lectured in our undergrad program last year. Great marks, okay? Almost 100% pass rate. Okay, this is her first year of doing CTA, but you're in very, very capable hands with Kaylee doing it. So I just want to actually ask you something. I did the MAC paper for the SUP. So if you fail and you're a student, you get to come back here and you get to work on the SUP program here if you actually fail. So I went through the management accounting exam with my class that I had here, the guys writing the SUP, on Monday last week. I want to ask you, how many marks were not in the question paper out of 200? How many marks were not in the paper that you needed to create something and suck it out of your finger? Out of 200 for management accounting. I'd like to just to open it up to the floor. 50. This is how many? 2 marks that were not in the exam paper. 2 out of 200. And let me just explain something. Kaylee was just busy talking to you about something. Auditing, you got to practice, and you got to read, and you got to take it off the paper. Okay? I said it at the beginning. We all mark stuff. Okay? That answer is in the question. It's not in your years and years of experience out there in the workplace. And I sat there when I actually went out and I started with the SUP thing. I said, you're going to count how many marks there are that are not in the question. Okay? Everything was in the question. Are you guys comfortable with that? And it's the same thing with auditing. Okay? The moment you sit there and say, shit, it was just like what I did at work, I sit there and I go, I'll see you next year. Because it's not what happened at work. There are different documents. They've told you certain things about people. They want you to be able to look at something and say, shit, that's important. So I need to identify why it is important. And I need to answer it appropriately in a paper. Auditing is terrible. Because auditing, you don't just get a mark. You need to do like 3 things to actually get 1 mark in an auditing paper. So all of you that think you can actually wing stuff, it doesn't work so well. I know generally within any CTA program, auditing has got a huge attrition rate. So guys think, oh, I can do this all by myself. No, you can't. Okay? It's better to come in and actually just be shown with it, especially for Manac as well. I might be like hunnering on like I'm hunnering on now, but at the end of the day, you'll learn how to actually read something properly and prepare for it properly, okay, so that you can use it. Is that all right? So I just want to actually just get you to bear that in mind itself. FINAC and tax, traditionally, you work hard, you tend to pass. Okay, you get a question in an exam with FINAC and tax, you know how to do it. I mean, you've seen the calculation before, or you've seen, you know how to solve the problem. Auditing a MANAC, people think you need to have all this experience. No, you need to be able to read properly. If you don't read properly, I always used to joke when I was at varsity, I always used to think that the Dorf Oaks used to do well at auditing. Okay, it used to amaze me. The guys, used to speak to them in class, and they used to get these magnificent audit marks. Because while I was sitting there thinking about a classical variable sample that wasn't in our syllabus, the oak was sitting there going, oh shit, there's a goods received note. What can I do with the goods received note? Okay, and he used to get the marks and I didn't. So, did much better than me at the stuff. I just want to actually just give you an analogy with this. There was a question on auditing and consolidation in the board exam. Okay, and the average mark was very, very low. It was a fail. So I'll tell you what people didn't do. Okay, and I'm going to go ka-ching just for a mark. Okay, so this is what people didn't do. Get the annual financial statements of company A. Ching. Get the annual financial statements of company B. Ching. Get the annual financial statements of company C. Ching. Sorry, and also make sure that there's no qualified audit. Put it onto a spreadsheet. Ching. Put your adjusting journal entry. Ching. A plus B plus C plus adjusting journal entry equals an amount. Ching. Agree that amount to your annual financial statements. Ching. Okay. What were people doing? Oh shit, there's intercompany stock between company A and company B. I better bloody well make sure that all of the journal entries could be done properly. And everybody failed. You should have been sitting there and doing the mathematical accuracy like I've just ka-ching to you now, or sitting there and saying, oh, sure, can we rely on the other auditors within our own firm and do that? Or doing related party transactions and writing 3 or 4 points on that. Does everybody understand where I'm coming from? Or making sure that the accounting policies are consistently applied over the group and dealing with a couple of points for that. And everybody, when they marked it, did the adjusting journal entries, because shit, we know how to do adjusting journal entries. And you could only get 18 out of 45 for the adjusting journals, and everybody plugged. Okay, so very, very important to do that type of stuff within an exam. Often, it's actually the simple stuff that gets you to pass, not the complicated stuff. And that's the problem with most students with CTA that I find. You actually don't do the simple stuff properly. Is that all right? Okay, so I just wanted to actually just share that with you. So it's the simple stuff that'll get you to pass this year. It's not the complicated stuff. Okay? There's more than enough complicated stuff that you'll do in your second board exam. Then you'll get given some really, really applied stuff, and then you need to actually know what to do. Are you guys comfortable with that? Are there any questions that you guys would like to ask? Yep.
Thank you. When are we getting the material? Is it possible to get it registered already?
Okay. So at the moment, we're busy preparing the material. You'll get what we try to do with CTA is you get a big bundle before you do a test. So you normally will go to the print room and there'll be 5 big bundles handed out to you, 1 for each subject itself. But if you want to start working on stuff, you guys can register and just, can we just come to each of the individual lectures just to collect a bundle if they want to do something now? Not yet, right? Okay. So road, I just said with the standard. But just come and speak to us if you want to, just to find out the stuff. If you want to actually do a little bit of prep. Again, I'm going to load up for myself, for Mac, I'm going to load up last year's classroom. If you want to go and look at some of the lectures and some of the notes in last year's classroom, you can just have a look at that for now. But rather just wait till we give you a proper pack. Because we only just got the TUT letters from UNISA, and we'd like to read through the TUT letters and make sure that we've covered absolutely everything in there. That's why they're not available. We only got them like 2 days ago from access to those TUT letters themselves. Is that all right? Sorry, just if you're a level 2 student, I just want to actually just mention this. For management accounting and also for, I don't know about the other subjects, they actually give you access to all of the 4861 tutorials. If you're doing management accounting and you skipped level 1 and you went directly into level 2, just understand that there's a whole lot of assumed knowledge for level 1 that they do not cover in level 2. So if you're a level 2 student doing management accounting, you need to look at the 4861 and 4862 TUT letters to see what it is that you actually need to understand. Is that all right? So a lot of people didn't know there were sections in the syllabus that didn't go to lectures last year because they only looked at their TUT letter and found out there was a whole lot of stuff that they were going to get tested on as well. Is that all right? So rather just, you'll get access to the classroom almost immediately, their notes and stuff for last year, but rather just wait. Okay? You can have a little bit of a look if you want to do a little bit of pre-preparation. Yep. Yeah?
Thank you, Steve. I apologize for those at home. Guys, just in terms of financial accounting space, we do expect you to pre-read. So IFRS, test 1, you will be covering the framework. IS 1, presentation of financial statements. IS 8, change in accounting policies, prior errors, as well as change in estimates. IS 12, the big one, your income taxes, and IFRS 13, fair value measurement, with IS 2 inventory. Please pre-read, that's IFRS. In the group space, please pre-read IFRS 3, IFRS 10, IFRS 12, as well as IS 27. And if you get, yeah, and that covers it.
You need to decide whether you tell your partner that you can't see them till the end of the year, either before you do that or after you do that. No. Okay. Any other questions? Yep. Okay. Okay. If you don't get registered at UNISA, we'll give you a full refund. Okay, that's a standard thing within within anything over here. I know that they've had all of those. The reason UNISA hasn't done very much at this point in time, they were under strike for the whole of last week. Okay, what they did decide to do was, I think they opened up another 28,500 places at the university because they were limited. The government, I believe, has actually told them that they've got a limited number and they've actually got more students than that at the moment. So there are extra places that are opening. It is going to be slow. That's because they haven't been allowed to go into work. It's a very, very difficult environment. I know what happened last year. Certain people tried to go into work and the guys were not kind to them if they got caught. So I don't think very much has actually happened during the strike. So maybe just give it a little bit more time and they'll get back to you. They just need to actually go through and process it. Having said that they have an extra 28,500 places, I don't know how many are going to be for CTA, if that makes sense. So I don't know. There's just a little bit of an issue at this point in time with stuff. I think also with SAPs, I think that they just trying to see how many people pass their SAPs as well, because those guys obviously that pass their SAPs don't need to actually go back into a CTA program. So I don't know whether they've done a little bit of an estimate in that regard. More people were given SAPs this year, so I don't know whether they're trying to clear some space for you. So yeah, it's very, very difficult. Okay. Just if you're a CTA and you passed level 1, you go into level 2. Must do lots and lots of examples. Very, very different from level 1. You guys know most of the theory already, so it's going to be the examples that you need to do to get that integration right. Okay, so from that side. So I wish I could tell you more, I just can't. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. Full-time classes start on the 30th, I think it is. It's a Monday. It's a Monday the 28th, sorry. Part-time 26th, Saturday. Full-time the Monday the 28th. And then it's pretty much a full schedule. You'll see you've got almost 8 or 9 hours a day, every single day of the week that we work through. But just understand as well, I know that sounds like really intimidating. When will I get time to do work? In a full-time program, often we actually give you work to do in class itself. So we might sit down and say, okay, today's class, here's a 40-mark question, please do it, and then we'll go through the solution with you immediately in class as well. So a lot of homework is actually done inside that class. You don't need to do that homework once you get home. Is that all right? So we do a lot of stuff inside the class itself. Any other questions? No one else? If you want to come and ask us stuff after, we're all here, we can actually chat to you. And yeah, I just wish everybody luck this year in actually doing their stuff. It's actually not really luck, it's actually hard preparation for the stuff. Just with the guys that actually just put absolutely every minute of every single day into the course, I think you'll fail. I think you need to actually just leave a little bit of me time for yourself, okay? I'm really worried. There were a lot of guys last year that just, especially amongst the part-timers, that actually just put absolutely everything, every minute of every day into it. They got really, really burnt out towards the end. So as much as I say, kiss your partner and say, I'll see you at the end of the year, there needs to be a little bit of other stuff in your life, okay? Otherwise, you will burn out itself. You need to be fresh when it comes time to actually writing those exams itself. Is that right? And just again, I know I said it at the beginning, sort out your leave now. Don't wait for later. Just know that you've got a plan and you know what it is that you're going to do over all of the years. If you want to take off a day before each of the class tests, go take off a day before each of the class tests. I don't know what it is that you want to do. Okay? We're not going to be doing anything with you on the Saturday and Sunday before a class test. So I don't know whether you need to take a day off before a class test. You will have the full Saturday and Sunday with which to do revision, and all your class tests are on a Tuesday. Is that all right? I don't know what it is that you want to do. Just go sort out your life now and just make sure you're planning what you're doing during the year and you have a good idea what's actually happening. But good luck, guys. We'll be here to take questions. Thanks.